Yeah, and what's up everyone? James Downton here, and welcome to another video within the Getting into Cardfight Vanguard series. Now, in this video, I'll be going over triggers and imaginary gift markers. Now, to give you a bit of a description on what these are, triggers are units that you can put into your deck. You're only allowed up to 16 triggers in total within your deck, and 4 of those can be heal triggers. The rest can be a variation of whichever other trigger that you like, but they must be from the same clan in which you're using. So let's start with the triggers then. First of all, we've got the draw trigger. Draw triggers are just here, so up in this top corner you've got your trigger icon. If they're red, they're going to be a draw trigger. Essentially what draw triggers do in standard is that they add 10,000 power to your unit, or any unit you want on your field, and they let you draw a card. However, if you're performing a twin drive with a grade 3 and you pull a draw trigger to start with on your first check, you have to draw your next card, and then essentially the third card you pick up is your second drive check. So if you do end up pulling a draw trigger with your first drive check, you draw your card and it ends up being a heal or a critical trigger, that trigger does not count. It's only your third card that you pick up, which is your second drive check, that will count. Okay, so draw triggers can be quite useful depending on the playstyle of your deck, as well as the fact is if you're attacking and you've got hardly any cards in your hand, it can help you replenish your hand by 1 more card and ultimately gives you a bit more chance of defending yourself next turn. So we'll move on to the heal triggers next. So heal trigger up here, it's a green trigger, so if they're green it's going to be a heal, and essentially this will heal one of your damage that has been dealt to your Vanguard. So what you would do is if you have equal to or more than your opponent in terms of damage in your damage zone, you can take 1 card from your damage zone and put it into your drop zone. This could save you at the end of the game. If you're on 5 damage and the 6 damage would end the game for you, pull a heal trigger, you're still on 5 damage, you're still in. And this only does not work, however, if your opponent is on more damage than you are. So if your opponent has 2 damage and you've only got 1, and you pull a heal trigger, that's no damage healed for you. Sorry, but that's just how it works. This also gives plus 10,000 to your rearguard or vanguard, depending on where you want to put the 10,000 to. But again, that's only in standard. In premium, all triggers give out 5,000 power. So that's something to consider when you're playing the game, as to what format you're using. So next, we've got the critical trigger. Critical trigger, just in the top corner again, same with all the others. These are yellow, so just look for the yellow trigger marker. And essentially what these do is it adds an extra damage to your opponent if the attack goes through. So if you drive check one of these and you essentially the attack goes through, instead of dealing 1 damage to your opponent, you would deal 2 damage to your opponent. This could help give you the lead in a match, as well as the fact is it could also finish off your opponent because of the power boost of 10,000, as well as obviously the extra damage itself. Because if your opponent can just barely guard and he's on 5 damage, but you pull a critical trigger making the attack go through, regardless or not, if he pulls a heal trigger to save himself from going to 6 and staying on 5, he still has to check 1 more card, and the chances of getting a double heal are quite slim unless you've set your deck up that way somehow. So it could do a make or break, really. Now, some clans have these, some clans don't, and that is the front trigger. These are a slightly pinkier sort of colour in terms of markers, and essentially what they do is they add plus 10,000 to your entire front row. So all your rear guards in the front row get plus 10, and so does your Vanguard, which is quite useful if you're facing somebody who has a Vanguard that has more power than your rear guards and Vanguard, or if your opponent has previously been hit and dealt 1 damage, and that damage check was a trigger itself, because it will help keep your units equal in power to their Vanguard or their rear guard. So it could help you out, as well as the fact is it could also save you as well, because if you're being attacked and you pull a front trigger, you've still got that plus 10,000 to all your front units, giving you that bit more protection. Now, again, if you're playing premium, you do have a stand trigger. These are sort of light blue markers at the top, and essentially what they do is they restand a rear guard that is already attacked. So to do consecutive attacks is quite useful in a game of Cardfight Vanguard, so that's also very good to look out for, but again, that's only in premium format. In standard, they haven't released stand triggers. Now, going on to imaginary gifts. Imaginary gifts are a new feature that has been added to the game since the reboot that basically gives your Vanguard rearguards a slight edge over your opponents', or they can help protect you. So let's start with the protect marker. Protect marker is like that. It's a green imaginary gift marker that basically acts as a perfect guard. Instead of staying on the field like the other two, the protect marker goes into your hand, and you can use that as a perfect guard to save yourself from being attacked, basically. Now, to get one of those, you have to ride a grade 3 from the clan that has the feature of protect markers and has the protect marker symbol on the card. So if I can quickly just see one, which I can't, but clans from things like Grand Blue, so Grand Blue, Oracle Think Tank, so those two clans, as well as there's a few other clans. I think Link Joker, when they come out, are going to have those. So you want to look out for that. It's mostly going to be the boss grade 3 that has them. So moving on to the next one, we've got the force marker. Force markers are essentially, they add 10,000 power to whichever rearguard slot or vanguard circle that you place it on. So you can place it on the back row, you can place it on the front row, or on the vanguard circle. And that unit that's on top of that will get plus 10,000 in terms of attack, only while it's attacking. Now, this is quite useful to use because even if the unit on top of the imaginary gift force marker is destroyed, the force marker will stay on that circle. You can't move it to a different circle, but it will stay there. So essentially it's there until the game's over. So you don't have to worry about just protecting that one unit, unless you've got a strategy with that unit. And having plus 10,000 all the time is always a great thing to have because it gives you that slight edge. And they stack as well. So if you keep it on the vanguard circle and you ride another grade 3 with the force marker, you get another one, which is quite useful if you're using dimensional police, which are associated with the force markers at the minute. because you've got units like Dayusha who rely on having a certain amount of attack power in order to activate their effects. Now moving on to the last one, we've got the Excel marker, and again my camera doesn't, there you go, the Excel marker. The Excel markers, what they do is essentially they add another rearguard circle for you to use. So your rearguard circle could go from 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 depending on how many grade 3s you ride with the Excel marker icon on it, and that unit will also get plus 10,000 as well. So it helps to create multiple attacks which will cause your opponent more difficulty when guarding. So you get the power boost and you get the extra rearguard circle. And these are associated with clans like Gold Paladin when they release, Aqua Force and Nova Grappler, and a couple of more clans that are already out. So each force marker can counteract the other in some way. So for example, protect markers are good against force markers because you can guard the perfect guard with the protect marker, and Excel markers can kind of be protect markers because you won't have like 4 or 5 protect markers in your hand. So the more attacks you use with the Excel gift, the more trouble your opponent is going to have. And the force markers can counteract the Excel markers by having more power when attacking. So bear in mind when you play which style you want to use, which can also relate in what clans you like to use. But each clan that's associated with their own respected gift markers will be tailored to suit that marker. So for example, Aqua Force being a clan that relies on multiple attacks and hitting a certain amount of times to activate their skills, Excel markers would be ideal. Kagero being associated with force markers, Unreal is a powerhouse clan that thrives on taking out your opponent's rearguards and dealing lots of damage. Oracle Think Tank, keeping a lot of cards in your hand, as well as predicting what your opponent is going to do. Protect markers are quite useful in that, because you have to discard one card to use the perfect guard, so you're going to constantly be able to use it. So that's going to wrap it up for this video on force markers, gift markers and triggers. Hopefully you've enjoyed and you've learned what each respected thing does. If you like, check out some of the other videos in this How to Get into Vanguard series that I'll be uploading. There'll be things like how to play the actual game. There'll be videos on deck accessories, so where you can buy them and what you would need to use if you're going to a tournament, as well as a few clan archetype videos discussing what clans do what and how they function. So look forward to that. If you're new, consider subscribing to the channel where I do more content like this, as well as other reviews for different types of TV shows and anime series. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video.